Hi guys, it's Mr. Robeson here. Welcome back to statistics. Today we're going to look at how to make box plots. We're going to look at what a 5-number summary is, how to find outliers, and then we're going to put it all together and make box plots. All right, so first up, to make box plots, we have to be able to break data up into 4 equal sections because a box plot has 4 equal parts. So when we break data up into 4 equal sections, we call those sections quartiles, or sometimes we refer to the numbers that break them up as quartiles. All right, it's got the word quarter in it. Like, a quarter from 25 cents is 25% of a dollar. So they break data up into 25%. So like, here's just a line. And if I want to break this line up into 4 equal parts, all right, how do I do that? Well, the easiest way to do it is to first break it in half, and then break the bottom part in half, and then break the top part in half. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 numbers, or 3 spots that will do this. These are our quartiles. So we call this Q1, we call this Q2, we call this Q3. This is 25% here, this is 25% here, this is 25% here, and this is 25% here. So now if you notice, 50% total is below this guy. So this one right here, this second quartile, is actually our median. And then once we find that median, this is the median of the bottom part, and this is the median of the top part. So we call this the first quartile. We usually don't use the name second quartile. We usually just call this the median. And we call this one the third quartile. All right, so here's a list of how we go about finding quartiles. So the first thing we do is we put the numbers in order. So if we look down here, here's a list of numbers. It's already in order. Great. Second, we want to find the median. All right, so we can just go and we can check off one at a time from each end, and what's left in the middle is the median. Or we can do the trick we went over the other day with the number of data values plus 1. So this would be 9 plus 1, which is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So it would be the 5th data value, which also happens to be 5. So this is our Q2. This is our median right here. So now there's our bottom part, and here's our top part. So the top part is above the 5, bottom part is below the 5. So now we want to know what's the middle of these guys. Well, the middle of these guys is going to be between the 1 and the 2. So right between 1 and the 2 is 1.5. That's our first quartile. And right between 13 and 21 is our other quartile. So if we do 13 plus 21, divide that by 2 to find the average. So what is that? 34 divided by 2 is 17. Yeah. So Q3 here is the 17, halfway between those. And notice we've got 2 data values here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and we got the 5 here in the middle, but it roughly breaks it up into 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. All right, here's another picture, another example. So like we find our median here in the middle, then we find the middle of the bottom. Here the median is between the 2 numbers. So if it's between the 2 numbers, this one, this 32 is in the bottom section. This 40 is in the top part. All right, and then the middle here is again between the numbers. Sometimes it's between the numbers. Sometimes it actually is the numbers. Doesn't matter. All right, so we get the 26.5 and 51 are our other quartiles. So that's how we find the quartiles. All right, so now we take those quartiles. So we've got Q1, our median, which remember is Q2, and Q3, our third quartile, and we add into it our minimum number and our maximum number. So the smallest number is the minimum, and our largest number is our maximum, and we call these 5 numbers together a 5-number summary. I know we're not very creative. It's 5 numbers, and it summarizes the data. We call it a 5-number summary. All right, so here's a list of 20 cars. We want to know the 5-number summary. So we're just looking for the middle number. I'm going to go 2 at a time to try and save a little bit of time here. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. I think we're in the middle of 23 and 23. So we should have 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, so 2 down here. So our median is right between there. So between 23 and 23 is 23. There's our median. Now from the bottom half, let's see, we should have 10 numbers. So 5 and 5 would split it. So right between those, Q1 will be between 17 and 19 is 18. And let's see, up here, we're between 26 and 28. So our Q3 would be 27. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So between 5 and 5, 27. So we add in our minimum. Our min is 13. Our max, the biggest number here, is 32. And these 5 numbers together make a 5-number summary. All right, so now we can put this together graphically. And the way we put this together graphically is called a box plot. So we make a box from Q1 to Q3. All right, so here's our box. All right, not perfect here, but we'll call this 18. We'll call this 27. Next, in the middle of that box, or wherever 23 would be, so 23 is 4 away from that. It's 5 away from 18, so it's going to be a little bit closer to the 27. We draw a line straight up and down, and that's our median. So our median is the line in the box. And then we draw in what's called our whiskers. So we draw a whisker going down at the bottom, and we go down to the minimum, which is going to be 13. So here's a whisker down to 13. And then we draw a whisker at the top up to our maximum, which is 32. So here's a whisker up to 32. So we draw lines to the min and max from the box. All right, and that's how we make, so there's step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's how we make a box plot. All right, now we'll also go over how to do this on the computer in the next section here. So we'll have Google make it for us. But for now, I mean, it's not very hard to make it by hand. All right, so now when we're making box plots, one thing we usually need to check for is if there are any outliers. And this is the only way we have in this class to find outliers. So the way we find outliers is the first thing we do is we find something called the interquartile range. We'll just call it IQR. It's Q3 minus Q1. All right, it's the range of the middle 50%. This is a measure of spread, just like regular range is a measure of spread. All right, so when we're doing cuss and BS, like when we're cussing spread, this could be used for spread. We could say the IQR is 20, whatever. All right, then we use what's called the 1.5 IQR rule to find the outliers. We add 1.5 times the IQR to Q3. So we take Q3 and we add 1.5 times the IQR, which again is Q3 minus Q1. And anything bigger than that is an outlier. So that gives us outliers at the top. At the bottom, we do Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. And anything smaller than that are outliers. All right, so we have one cutoff at the bottom end and we have one cutoff at the top. So here I've already labeled, here's Q1, here's our median, here's Q3 to save us a little bit of time. So first we want to find our IQR. So our IQR is Q3, which is 28, minus Q1, which is 24, which gives us 4. So now we do Q3 plus 1.5 times 4. All right, and Q3 is 28, so we have 28 plus 1.5 times 4. 1.5 times 4 is 6. 28 plus 6 is 34. So anything past 34 is an outlier. So we look over here and we say, okay, here's 34. So 55 is an outlier. So 55 is an outlier. All right, now we can do the same thing at the bottom end. So it would be Q1 minus 1.5 times 4. All right, so our Q1 is 24. So we have 24 minus 1.5 times 4, which is also 6. So that gives us 18. Well, 18 is down here. All right, so that means we have no outliers at the bottom. All right, so that's how we find outliers. All right, so now that we know how to make outliers, now we got to figure out how do we draw them into box plots. So here's a list of numbers. So the first thing we want to ask, are they in order? 0, 45, yep, they're in order. So make sure we always check that they're in order. Next, we find the median. So the median is the middle number. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. And looks like this guy is the middle. So just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 11 numbers. So 70 is our median. The middle of the bottom half, we got 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's 60 is our Q1. And then 1, 2, 1, 2, and 90 here. The middle one here is our Q3. All right, so we find median, then we find Q1, and then we find Q3. And next we want to check for outliers. So we need to find our IQR. Well, it's going to be Q3 minus Q1. So 90 minus 60 is 30. So now we check the top half. So Q3 plus 1.5 times 30 is 90 plus 1.5 times 30. 1.5 times 30 is 45. So that's 135. 135 is out here. So we have no outliers because there's no data values out here. Next, we do Q1 minus 1.5 times 30. Q1 is 60. So 60 minus 1.5 times 30. So 60 minus 45 is 15. 15 is right there. So that means this 0 here is an outlier. All right, so now I'm going to show you how we draw an outlier in a box plot. So first, we make our box from 60 to 90. I'm just making a box. We'll label it later, 60, 90. Then we're going to put 70. So 70 is closer to the 60, so I'm going to draw it over here towards the side, so not in the middle, a little bit closer to 60. Now, let's see, to the top, we're just going up to our max, which is 100. So we draw a little line up to where 100 would be. It's not very far above 90. And now we're going to draw a little line down, but we're going to stop at 45. We're going to pretend 45 is our minimum. And then for an outlier, 0 is going to be like way down here. So we just make another dot down here for 0, and we just label it. And there's our outlier. So here's Q1, here's our median, here's Q3, here's our max. Technically, this is our min, and it is an outlier. All right, and here's how I did it on the calculator, which I'll show you guys how to do later. But yep, there's our outlier out there. There's our 45, 60, 70. Notice these are closer together, and this is a little bit farther apart. And then there's 90 and 100. All right, last one. So create a box plot for the proportion of the East Coast states and districts that voted for Biden in the 2020 election. So first question is, are these ordered? They don't look like they're in order to me, because here's 93 right here in the middle. That's definitely the biggest number. So let's see, what's the smallest number? So we'll start with the smallest. It looks like it's 43. So I'm going to start with 43. And then let's see, what else do we have? Any other 40s? Just these guys up here. So a 48 and a 49. So 48, 49. So there's those ones. Next, we've got 50. So we got a 50 and another 50. So two 50s. 50, 50. Done. I like crossing them out once I've used them. That way I know they're done. Next up, we got 53s, and we've got two of those. So 53, 53. Done, done. Any 54s? Yep, there's a 54. Yeah, this is probably the longest part of what we're going to do today, is just putting numbers in order. Let's see, we got a 56. And then a 58. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 59s. Boom, boom, boom. Anything else in the 50? No, we're done with the 50s. So starting 60s, let's see, we got a 64 and two 66s. So 64, 66, 66. So there's done, done, done. And the only number I haven't crossed off is 93. So it looks like I got them all. So that should be in order. So now we want to find the median. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 at the top. 1, 2, 3 at the bottom. I'm getting closer to the middle, so now I'm just going to do a 1 and 1. So 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top. 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top. Hey, 1 number's left. There's our median. So now here's our bottom part. Here's our top part. So the bottom part, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, we're right between those two, but they're both 50. So our Q1 is 50. Let's see, top, top, bottom, top, bottom, bottom, top, bottom, top. So we're between 59 and 60. So 59 plus, sorry, 64 divided by 2. Let's see, what is that? So 111, 123 divided by 2. So that's 1. So that's 61.5, I believe. You can always get out a calculator if you want, but 61.5 seems like it's halfway between there. That works. So there's our Q3. Oh boy, this is going to be fun with the IQRs. So our IQR is 61.5 minus 50 is 11.5. Oh boy. So let's see. So Q3 plus 1.5 times 11.5 is 61.5 plus 1.5 times 11.5. I'm going to need to bring in some help here. Here's my help. It's a calculator, I know. All right, so let's get out of there. And let's see, we've got 61.5 plus 1.5 times 11.5. I can type this all in at once. You can do this on your phones all at once too if you turn it sideways. 78.75. So that is, let's see, remember these are our numbers. That's going to be right here. So 93 is an outlier. That's Washington, D.C. right there. Next, on the way down, Q1 minus 1.5 times 11.5 is, let's see, Q1 was 50. So 50 minus 1.5 times 11.5. I don't think we're going to have any outliers here because if we go down 11.5, I think we're below 43 on its own, much less 1.5 times it. But let's go ahead and type it in. So we got 50 minus 1.5 times parentheses 11.5, close my parentheses for good measure, 32.75, which is down here below the 43, so we're good, no outliers there. So now we're going to draw our box. We're going from 50 to 61.5, not really a big box here, 50, 61.5, 56, pretty close to the middle, I think. 56 right there. The top, we're going to go to our last data value before then, which is 66. So we're going to 66. We're going to stop. And then way out here, we're going to have 93. We don't have to draw this in between. I'm just saying it's a long ways out. And then on the way down below, we're going down to 43. So here's 43. And there's our box plot. And it does look just like that. Yeah, I was pretty close. Probably my 93 should be farther away, really. All right, but that's it. That is box plots. So that is how we do that. Good luck with the homework.